Hello guys, it's Revolution. So who is the strongest God of Destruction? The strongest Hikaioshin in the Dragon Ball Superverse? Are all the Gods of Destructions on the same level of power, or do they all vary in terms of their raw power level? Who is the weakest God of Destruction, and who is the strongest God of Destruction, and how much difference in power variation is there between the weakest and the strongest? That's what we're going to discuss in this video. We are going to take a look at the most official sources from the Dragon Ball Super anime and the manga to determine where these characters lie amongst each other in the eyes of the franchise itself. Which mortals are on the level of the Gods of Destructions, and have any mortals indeed surpassed the top tier of the Gods of Destructions? We'll discuss all that in this video. And of course, lend the Daishenken your energy by subscribing to Revolution on the road to 100,000 subscribers. Smash that like button and comment down below. All your continued support is truly appreciated. So we have two different continuities of Dragon Ball Super, both following bullet points and outlines from Akira Toriyama himself. One being Toei Animation, who of course make the anime, who have a team of writers who adapt Toriyama's outlines, of course adding their own continuity exclusive plot devices here and there. And of course the manga does the same thing. Of course, this is adapted by Toyo Taro, just a singular man, whereas the anime has multiple writers involved. So of course, there's going to be some slight differences here and there. And whilst I would argue that in large, the lore of both verses are the same because they come from the outlines of Akira Toriyama, and they both are generally approved by Akira Toriyama via interviews from both Toei and Toyo Taro, they do ultimately have slight differences. But if we are going to truly look at which particular continuity would have authority on the Gods of Destructions, well, it can only be one continuity, and that is the manga. As we know, Toyo Taro was handpicked by Toriyama to do the manga himself, and he has a direct line to Toriyama. And what we do know is that Toyo Taro was involved in the creation of the designs of the Gods of Destructions from the other universes in the Dragon Ball multiverse. Now, of course, I'm not going to dismiss anything that happens in the anime, because what happens in the anime is exclusive to itself. It is canon unto itself. But there are a few little hints in the anime here and there, and we'll talk about those in this video. But the major bulk of information we do get from the manga. But the truth is, the anime doesn't particularly go in depth about where the Gods of Destructions lie amongst each other and where their power level is at. I often say that Beerus is a moving goalpost in terms of power, because every time a new power comes along, it just so happens to be relevant to Beerus. And even more importantly, we literally get to see all the Gods of Destructions fight each other in the manga. Of course, this particular plot device we didn't get to see in the anime, so it's likely a Toyo Taro idea, but as we know, yours truly, Toyo Taro, did come up with the creation of some of the Gods of Destructions. Let's take a quick look at which Gods of Destructions he created, which Gods of Destruction Toriyama created, and who they collaborated on. Of course, the first God of Destructions who debuted in Dragon Ball's franchise was, of course, Beerus, the God of Destruction of Universe 7, in the Battle of God Saga, and of course, he was soon to be followed by his brother, the God of Destruction of Universe 6, Shumpa. Both of these, of course, are Toriyama designs. As you can see on your screen right now, this picture tells you which designer created that particular God of Destruction. Arak was created by Toyo Taro, the God of Destruction of Universe 5. Quitella, Beerus' main rival, was created by Toriyama. Moscow of Universe 3 was a Toyo Taro design. Hells of Universe 2 was a collaboration between Toriyama and Toyo Taro. Ivan was a Toyo Taro design. Jin was a Toyo Taro design. Vermouth or Belmod was created in a collaboration again by Toriyama and Toyo Taro. Rumshi, the God of Destruction of Universe 10, was created by Toyo Taro. Seedra of Universe 9 was created by Toriyama. Lika was a Toyo Taro design. Quite simply put, Toyo Taro was heavily involved in the designs for the Gods of Destructions. It would be very reductive to make the argument that he doesn't know where these characters belong in terms of power amongst each other. So first off, let's discuss whether or not all the Gods of Destructions are at a host power level. By that I mean all at the same power level upon becoming a God of Destruction, or whether they are all varying levels of power. We know that the God level of power that Goku attains from becoming a Super Saiyan God is a realm, a plane of power above anything that we saw before in Dragon Ball Z. As Whis put it in episode 18 of Dragon Ball Super, Goku and Vegeta, upon attaining this level of power, were essentially a tiny tree next to a giant castle next to the power of the gods of destructions. Of course, they are in the realm of the gods in terms of power with Super Saiyan God or Saiyan Beyond God if you will, but ultimately that's just in the same realm. The height of that power is astronomically above that level of power. You could say the same thing about the gods of destructions and the angels. The angels seem to be a realm of power above even the gods of destructions. As we saw in the Resurrection of F movie, Whis knocked out Beerus with one blow. We see it again in the manga where Whis and Vados knock out Champa and Beerus with one blow, and it's even alluded to in episode 27 of Dragon Ball Super. So Whis' analogy in episode 18 is a really good one. The base of godlike power is like a small tree, and the height of it is like a giant castle. But we later find out in the series that attaining God Ki isn't the only way to attain that level of power. Golden Frieza manages it and overtakes the level of Super Saiyan God and even Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. And we later learn that essentially gods of destructions are mortals who ascend into a job role as the god of destruction. They aren't naturally born gods. Like the gods of creation, the Supreme Kais. We know that a mortal, Topo of Universe 11, is in training to become a god of destruction. Now he does know how to use God Ki just like Goku and Vegeta, but ultimately in the anime we see his god of destruction state that easily decimated Golden Frieza and was able to compete with Blue Evolution. You could argue that Super Saiyan Blue Evolution is somewhat relative to the Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 20 Genki Dama we saw in the Dragon Ball Super specials, especially the second trigger of Super Saiyan Blue Evolution, and that Genki Dama is what enticed Whis to say that Jiren had surpassed Belmod. This should come as no surprise because in episode 81 of Dragon Ball Super, upon seeing Goku turn Super Saiyan Blue, Seadra called Goku's Super Saiyan Blue transformation terrifying. He hadn't even seen Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 10, never mind times 20 at that point. So throughout the progression of Dragon Ball Super, it seems like Goku and Vegeta were closing that gap from the base of the realm of the gods to the level of gods of destructions, which were in the echelons of power of the realm of the gods. But does that mean the gods of destructions are all at the same level? Well, there may not be as big of a difference between their levels and the levels at the base of the realm of the gods, but ultimately, the question I ask you this: if Jiren became a god of destruction now, would he all of a sudden become weaker than Seadra? I think you know the answer. We do know that Belmod has been a god of destruction for approximately 240,000 years, whereas we know that Beerus has been alive for hundreds of millions of years. Does that mean he's been the god of destruction for all of those years? We don't know, but you would assume it's a large portion of his life, which would dwarf the 240,000 years that Belmod's been a god of destruction. Given that we know the gods of destructions can train and improve, there's no reason to believe that they would all be at the same power, considering they've all been in their position of power at varying levels of time. Of course, in the Universal Survival arc, the Omni Kings request to see the gods of destructions fight each other, and they do so. All of them turn their attention to Beerus for various reasons, and they all attack Beerus at once. Beerus is successfully fighting most of them off, and he does make the statement that they cannot do anything against him one-on-one. And of course, if you read the manga, you can physically observe that even 11-on-1, they are struggling to get a hold of him. Of course, when all's said and done, it's Beerus and his rival Quitella who are the last two men standing. Of course, you literally see Quitella rock Ivan's world with an uppercut to the body, and you literally see Beerus deck Rumshi with a straight right to the jaw. We do know that Belmod or Vermouth is tricking them on the floor laying down, pretending to be hurt when he's not. But the question I ask to you is that the tactic of somebody who believes in his own power? My answer to that would be absolutely not. Of course, in the manga, as opposed to the anime, it was Quitella who beat Beerus in the arm wrestle, whereas in episode 92 of Dragon Ball Super the anime, you hear that it was Belmod who beat Beerus in the arm wrestle. However, in the manga, it is rightly downplayed as a feat of power. As we know in Dragon Ball, power levels don't just mean strength, it encapsulates all your combat abilities. This is supported by the fact that Quitella, upon seeing Beerus as the last man standing, states that he expected Beerus to be the last man standing. He wasn't expecting Belmod to be one of the last men standing. And as we saw earlier in the God of Destruction match, we see Beerus going at full power, if not close to, when he attacks multiple Gods of Destructions. Goku even states, wow, Beerus really isn't holding back. Which, just for the record, proves that, at least in the manga, Goku has seen Beerus at full power or close to. Anyway, Beerus attacks multiple Gods of Destructions. Belmod is one of them. Basically, Seadra drops in with a barrier and protects all of them from Beerus' full power attack. Jin, the God of Destruction of Universe 12, even comments that Seadra saved them all, and of course Seadra mentions that barriers are his special ability. Of course, we know that the barrier technique, as stated in the Daizenshu, means that an opponent's attack has to be twice as strong as your power in order to break that barrier. Barrier techniques amp power by 2 times at the minimum. Quite simply put, at least in the manga, Belmod just simply isn't a match for Beerus in terms of raw power. Of course, he has his own set of skills and special abilities, as do all of the Gods of Destructions. They all demonstrate different powers, abilities and hacks. But in terms of raw power alone, it appears that Beerus and Quintella are the 2 strongest. The rest of the Gods of Destructions are all unconscious. We know that Beerus is stronger than Champa, as per episode 28 of Dragon Ball Super. When it's proposed that they may fight, Beerus laughs his head off. The prospect, and of course, in the future Trunks arc in the manga, Goku Black states that Beerus is the most troublesome God of Destruction. Quite simply put, I would put Beerus and Quintella as the 2 strongest Gods of Destructions. So for simplicity's sake, let's say that they are tier 1 Gods of Destructions. Of course, if you're going to make the argument, well, Belmod trapped all the Gods of Destructions in that particular fight, well, Lika escaped Belmod's attack quite easily. We know that in both the anime and the manga that Jiren has more raw power than Belmod, and Whis comments on Jiren being stronger than Belmod during the Genki Dama struggle in Dragon Ball Super episode 110, when Jiren was casually repelling a Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken x20 Genki Dama. We soon learn that Jiren is heavily suppressed during this Genki Dama struggle, and yet he is still stronger than his God of Destruction Belmod. But we do know from the Jump magazine that Beerus' full power is somewhat relative to Ultra Instinct Goku, who we know absolutely clobbered full power Jiren, not including Awakened Jiren. Of course, we've spoken many times on this channel about how Beerus' true full power is likely a moving goalpost. So where do the rest of the Gods of Destructions lie? Well, in the exchanges in that God of Destruction match, you see Champa knock out Seadra, you see Moscow taking out Hells and Lika at the same time. So you have to assume that those 2 could potentially be tier 2 Gods of Destructions. We do know that in the manga, Champa was at least keeping up with Beerus when they had that fight all that time ago. And in the anime, given that Belmod was the one to defeat Beerus in the arm wrestle, now it gets a little hard to rank where the rest are at, because once again, Belmod feigned injury during that God of Destruction match. Of course, in the anime, he did beat Beerus in an arm wrestle. That inclines me to put him in tier 3 with Lika. Well, though you could argue that Lika overpowered his trap in the God of Destruction match, but Belmod's power was spread between 11 other Gods of Destructions, all of whom he did trap, albeit likely by surprise. In terms of the rest of the Gods of Destructions, it's a little hard to rank them, so by default, I'm going to put the rest of the Gods of Destructions in tier 4. However, there are 2 Gods of Destructions I would like to talk over. Of course, Seadra is implied to be a weak God of Destruction, especially in the anime. As I mentioned earlier, upon seeing Super Saiyan Blue, he called it terrifying. This by no means he's only Super Saiyan Blue level, but it means that Super Saiyan Blue Goku at that point in time wasn't that far off Seadra's power. Of course, we know from interviews after the Tournament of Power concerning the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie that Super Saiyan Blue Goku is closing in on the level of the Gods of Destructions. Of course, as we mentioned earlier, he is known for his barrier techniques in the manga, which likely amp his power. Then of course there's Rumshi, the Supreme Kai of Universe 10, obviously linked to Kawasu, and Kawasu, upon seeing Merge Zamasu in the future Trunks saga, said that Merge Zamasu was the strongest energy he'd ever felt. Of course, there's no reason he would know what level of power the likes of Beerus would have, but given that he's linked to Rumshi via the God of Creation, God of Destruction connection, it's likely that he would know how powerful Rumshi is. But we also do know that when Jiren's suppressed power was stated to have surpassed Merge Zamasu's in the Tournament of Power, it was at a similar point to where it was stated that his power had surpassed Belmod's. So maybe Merge Zamasu's within that range of God of Destruction level power. So given that Seadra was terrified of a pre-Tournament of Power Super Saiyan Blue, I've got to put him in tier 5, and I'm going to put Rumshi in tier 5 as well. Well, I may be being a bit harsh on Rumshi, but he was indirectly compared to Merge Zamasu via Gawasu. I'm playing it safe with Arak, Hells, Ivan and Jin here and sticking them all in tier 4, simply because there's a lack of evidence or inclination on where they could potentially lie amongst the rest of the Gods of Destructions. And for the record, I don't believe there's going to be thousands of times of power difference between tier 5 and tier 1. I believe it's all a lot closer than that. Toriyama tends to deal in smaller numbers. Of course, they all have their own unique abilities that can serve as equalizers to a higher power, but as it goes, I know I've used a mishmash of the anime and the manga, and they are two separate continuities, but ultimately, based on all the information we can put together that doesn't quite contradict itself, that's how I would rank it this far. Of course, we may get new information in the future and hopefully we can amend it where necessary. But guys, let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments section. How would you rank the Gods of Destructions amongst each other? Where would you place Toppo as a God of Destruction? Do you think Toppo's stronger than Seadra? Let me know down in the comments section. I want to see your tier lists in the comments section. By all means, include Toppo in that. Or the likes of Vegito Blue, Gogeta Blue, Ultra Instinct Goku and Awakened Jiren, and even Super Saiyan Full Power Broly at the base level of Angel Power. I want to know all your thoughts on this, guys. Comment. Don't forget to hit a like on the video if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Until next time, Ad Astra.